Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to talk a bit about the next episode from Star Trek, the animated series, called The Magicks of Megas-Tu. This episode is weird, but in a good way most of the time. The Enterprise is on a mission to the creation point, a place in the galactic core where matter was still being created. They suddenly get pulled somewhere, not really sure what is happening, even after seeing it twice. But they are now somewhere, and the laws of physics are no longer working. Why does that affect only the ship and not their bodies? I'm pretty sure that our bodies are also functioning on the same physical laws as the ship is. But anyway, nothing works, and after losing life support, our heroes are going to die. But suddenly they get a visit from a naked, horny guy. A naked guy with horns, of course. He repairs the ship and brings them to his planet, which looks like a cross between a watermelon and a beach ball. And it's apparently called Megas-Tu. Some weird shit happens, so which is hard to describe, just look at the images. I mean, this whole episode feels like the animators were on LSD or something. Anyway, we are told that they are now in a universe where standard physical laws don't apply. Instead of it, they simply use magic. Lucien, the horny guy, tells them that his people were exploring the galaxy and a few centuries ago they visited also Earth, and they apparently look like a cross between druids and KKK members. But suddenly Lucien sends them back on the Enterprise. Back on the ship, Scotty reports that there is a strange cloud-like object between them and the planet, and Spock assumes that Lucien is trying to hide the Enterprise. But from who? But no time for a logical analysis. Spock thinks it's more logical to draw pentagrams. He also stands inside the pentagram and manages to successfully move a chess figure using his mind, and he says it's logical. This might be the strangest thing that they did with Spock in all the shows and all the movies. Spock and pentagrams don't go together in my opinion. Now for some reason everybody suddenly knows how to use magic. Why? I mean, in Star Wars you need to train many years to use the Force properly. And even in medieval European folklore, witches had to study for many years to be able to use magic. But for some reason the Enterprise crew knows how to use magic immediately. Even Sulu creates a Japanese woman for him, and it looks like they're going to make out in front of all the bridge crew. Uhura even encourages him. The woman, however, suddenly changes to Lucien, and because this is Mr. Sulu and not George Takei, he is not happy about it. In your face, Star Trek Beyond! Lucien, however, warns them that all the mental energy they release can be traced by them, and they suddenly appear on the bridge in form of what I can only describe as Scooby-Doo representations of the ghosts from the Ark from the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Then some stuff happens, I don't really know what. If this is supposed to be some strange metaphor or if they really destroy the Enterprise. As I said before, this episode is really trippy in some places. However, our heroes are suddenly prisoners in Salem, Massachusetts in 1691. Now this is when the episode stops being a collection of some random, weird, psychedelic images and turns into a very good and very typical Star Trek episode. Even though Gene wasn't the official writer of this episode, this segment just has Roddenberry written all over it. I'm pretty sure this part was rewritten by him, or at least according to his memos, because it feels like classic Star Trek. Humanity is on trial for being a savage race by a race of super beings. Yes, if you have seen the pilot episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, it should sound familiar to you. As the prosecutor Asmodeus says, they came to Earth and settled down in Salem, where they took human form and lived together with humans. However, Salem's inhabitants were afraid of their powers, accused them of witchcraft, and started to burn them alive, one by one. The remaining survivors combined their powers and fled back to Megas-Tu filled with hatred against mankind. That's why mankind is now on trial. They are afraid humans came there to kill them again. Spock, as a non-human, acts like their advocate. This is a perfect opportunity for another Kirk speech, just like he did in many of the best TOS moments, and tries to explain that mankind has evolved in the last centuries. As proof, he offers the ship's logs, and that's when 8mm reels and punch card start flying in the air. This is so dated. I wonder how many of the people who will watch this video will know what 8mm reels and punch cards are. I mean, the last time I have actually seen this stuff was in the 80s, and even then it was deprecated in the rest of the world. It's funny they thought it will look futuristic. You remember the weird cards they used as data storage in the original series? Well, they looked stupid to me when I've seen the show for the first time, but the funny thing is that we use small similar cards for data storage now, but I doubt mankind will go back to punch cards anytime soon. Anyway, the Megans, or Megans, or however you want to pronounce it, now trust the people, are not dangerous, but they still want to punish Lucien for betraying their race by bringing the humans to their planet. When Kirk protests, the twist comes.
What a twist!
Lucien was actually known under several different names back on Earth, one of them being Lucifer. So you mean that the man who looks like Lucifer was actually Lucifer? Let's think about it for a moment, which is a thing the writers probably didn't do. Lucifer is a figure coming from an ancient Roman mythology, but the concept is much older. Later he became a biblical figure, basically one of the names for the devil. So I'm pretty sure that he was old news in the 17th century. So when exactly did they visit Earth? If he should really be an inspiration for our Lucifer, he would have to be on Earth for millennia. Anyway, Kirk still wants to save him, so Spock reminds him that he can use magic. And by the power of Grayskull, Kirk transforms into Kirkman, and again, something happens. I guess it is supposed to be a battle of two magicians, but it's animated and edited so weirdly that it looks like a commercial for illegal drugs. But in the end, in a typical Star Trek fashion, it was just a test. The Megans didn't know if the records are not faked, so they wanted to know if Earthlings would defend Lucien just because he needs their help. Now that they know humans are okay, it's time to get drunk. Now, this is a very strange episode. This episode was written by Larry Brody, and it's apparently one of the episodes which were planned for the third season of Star Trek, before Gene Roddenberry was replaced as the showrunner, and the show turned into a Monster of the Week show. Originally, it was supposed to be a story about the Enterprise finding God in space, but the network deemed it unacceptable, but allowed them to find the devil in space. That's, by the way, exactly what happened with Star Trek V. I'm not a religious person, even though I was raised in a Catholic family, but I must admit that I'm quite torn about some of the stuff which can be found in this episode. For example, the pentagrams, or the fact that Lucifer and Asmodeus are depicted as good guys and victims of mankind. A part of me finds that hilarious, while a part of me thinks that's a bit worrying. A story where demons are heroes and humans are villains. I somehow have a problem believing that a show with such a premise would be made today, in this politically correct culture we live in. I'm pretty sure that religious people will have problems with this episode. A few years ago, I've read online a blog where this episode was depicted as a proof that Satanists are ruling Hollywood and indoctrinating our children. I'm pretty sure you know the type of people. I personally have no problem with religious people, including fanatics, unless they start to kill innocent civilians. But I can't really take this Satanist talk seriously. I think that the beginning is way too weird. The court segment is very interesting, and the end is again very weird. So it's kind of hard to rate this one for me because the quality changes during the episode. I would rate the first segment 1 out of 10, the second one 10 out of 10, and the third one 5 out of 10. So if I take the average value, it would be 16 out of 30, or let's say 6 out of 10. I like the Salem part because it feels like proper Star Trek episode, but the rest is just weird. But as always in these videos, this is just my crazy opinion. What do you think about this episode? Of course, if you have seen it, do you agree with my rating, or would you give it a lower number or maybe even a higher number? Have you seen it already, or do you just plan to watch it? As always, leave your comments down in the comment section. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and if you are interested to know what did I think about the previous episodes of the animated series, or about the episodes from the first season of the original series, feel free to watch any of the previous episodes. You should see links to these playlists on the screen right now. And of course, don't forget to come back next week, probably Friday, where I'll talk about the next episode from the animated series called Once Upon a Planet. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!